Looking for something to read? Well, these are the books that I've written. Hop on down to the description to find the Amazon links for all 4 of them, and keep your eyes open for more in the future. With that said, on to the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Omni viewer, and I'm just here to do another quick collectible review because this particular kaiju collectible just came out and just arrived. This is the reissue of the Bandai Movie Monster series Fire Rodan. Yes, Rodan things always take priority on this channel because Rodan is one of my favorite monsters, and in particular, I never actually had a movie monster series version of this character, because there aren't that many times it's been reissued. The Trendmasters Rodan that was based on the Heisei design, which technically isn't Fire Rodan, but you know, same design, same abilities and whatnot, I have plenty of those packed away. But as far as one that's actually movie accurate, this is a first for me. Now, even though this is a reissue, there is something a little bit different about it. Earlier versions of the figure tended to have these really big veins painted onto the wing membranes. Really big, really thick, really kind of ugly. And yes, I know, the veins are technically on the wing membranes in the movie, but, you know, they're not as prominent, I guess, as they are on that original figure. So with this reissue, they just did away with that. They decided, you know what, not really needed, let's just do the wings with the basic colors. So mostly the same shade of red as the rest of him, going with a gradient into yellow at the base, which looks good. Actually kind of looks like what they did with Final Wars Rodan, although I guess Final Wars Rodan technically took that from Fire Rodan. And, well, it looks pretty good, I guess. The colors feel a little basic, I suppose, but they are technically accurate. The articulation is what you'd expect. It's just the legs moving like this, which is actually more than most Rodan figures in this line tend to get. But for the most part, I don't think it's really worth moving them because when you do move them, he's spread eagle like this. It looks ridiculous. I'm actually kind of surprised that the legs and feet aren't sculpted to look a little more bird-like like they are in the movie. So otherwise it's a fine likeness, but I'm not entirely sure it's the best possible figure we could have gotten of this guy. First of all, it doesn't feel like it was really designed to stand, which, you know, Fire Rodan in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, he's rarely standing. Most of the time, he's flying. You know, when I put him a bit more horizontal, that looks a little better, doesn't it? Because of how his head is angled. I almost feel like I need to get some fishing line or something so I can tie it around him and hang him from the ceiling or something. When he's standing, it looks like he's about to take off, but I don't know, I just think it looks better when it looks like he's in flight. The big issue, though, is that, well, the figure feels a little bit unfinished. You notice I've been showing him mostly from the front, where he's got like the gradient on the wings, the black beak, the painted yellow eyes, the pale yellow underbelly, and so on. When I turn him around, solid red all the way, top to bottom. If you look, they didn't even paint the underside of his horns on his head. And the spines, of course, even though they should be yellow down his back, nothing. And the rear claw on his foot. I don't get what it is with Bandai recently and not painting certain parts of their characters like this. Let's line this up with some of the past iterations of Rodan that Bandai has released. Here's the 1956 original. Now, yes, they embellished a little bit with the gold. That's technically not in the movie. But, I mean, the detail is stellar, and if you turn him around, he's got the green and gold on the back, which at first I didn't even realize was even in the movie, because we see Rodan from behind so infrequently in that film. And, you know, I grew up watching the old low-def VHS versions, so they didn't neglect the backside of this Rodan. Still mostly a solid color, but I mean, that's the way Rodan is in the movie. And the little embellishments they did add to his claws and his beak and whatnot kind of make him pop. But they went all the way with him. Same with Final Wars Rodan. Really impressive from the front, right? You've got the yellows, the blacks, the reds, the green in his eyes even, all up and down. If you turn him around, there's less of it, sure, and what's on the front of his wing membranes doesn't translate to the back, but you still have that black highlighting on his back and his tail. So even when you turn him around, he still looks like a completed figure. But compare that and that with Fire Rodan here. It's kind of shocking, really. I mean, they did away with those ugly veins on his wings, it's true, but it just wasn't... It feels like they just did the front of him and then they got lazy. Plus, when you look at the mold here, the wings... they are just flat on the bottom. Now the wings are thick, I get that, because they can't actually be that thin. And that's a thing with all of the Rodan figures. They are thicker wings, but you'll also notice they taper on the bottoms to look more wing-like. Whereas here, it's just flat. And since it's a reissue, I'm assuming that was an issue back when the figure was a first run, but it doesn't really look as good as it could. Other than that, though, I mean, it's stable for a Rodan figure because they did him in such a way that his feet are spread and his tail rests on the ground, so if you do have him standing, he's not going to topple over easily. See? I'm moving him around right now. He's staying upright. So it's an imperfect figure, definitely. There's no denying that. But I don't know. It's not the worst likeness. If you didn't get the Fire Rodan figure the first time around, and you really, really, really want to have a Movie Monster Series version of this particular design, I mean, it might be worth getting, but if you want full movie accuracy, be prepared to do a lot of customization. But, well, you know, those are just my thoughts. Like I said, Rodan always takes some priority if there's a collectible or something out there, with the exception of the Monsterverse Movie Monster series, because that thing was just hideous. But as for Fire Rodan, looks good from the front anyway. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see us keep doing what we're doing, you might consider doing all the usual YouTube things, as well as hopping down to the description to find links to DeviantArt, Patreon, Twitter, and links for the different books in the Tales from the Omni Vault universe. Your support is naturally appreciated. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.